10 News begins with breaking news.
U.S. Marshals just announced they have arrested this man suspected of that deadly shooting at the Church's Chicken in Otay Mesa earlier this month.
We want to get right to Jennifer Kastner in the 10 News Live Center. She's tracking the details of this arrest. Jen?
Yes, his name is Albert Blake, and he was arrested in Memphis, Tennessee. The shooting happened on November 6th at the Church's Chicken in Otay Mesa. Blake is accused of shooting 3 employees, killing one of them, and then taking off. Police said the shooter had been to the Church's earlier in the day and tried to buy food using counterfeit cash, but was turned away, became disgruntled, left, and then returned and opened fire. The Marshal Service tracked him to Memphis, where he was arrested this morning. Just 5 days ago, a vigil was held for Maribel Ibanez, who was shot to death. She was 28 years old and was a newlywed and a loyal employee who'd been working at Church's Chicken for several years. Blake awaits extradition back to San Diego. In the Live Center tonight, Jennifer Kastner, 10 News. Back to you.
Thank you, Jennifer. The community is gathering right now to remember a mother and 3 of her children murdered in their Paradise Hills home.
The police say the woman's estranged husband showed up one day after she filed a restraining order against him and then killed them before turning the gun on himself. Our 10 News reporter Anthony Pura joins us live from the Vigil at the United Church of Christ in Paradise Hills. Anthony.
Steve, Kimberly, we are expecting a very emotional night here. You can see that there is a large crowd that came out for this candlelight vigil, close to 100 people. Now, aside from friends and family, we understand the children's classmates and teachers were invited, as well as first responders and other members of the community. Now, they're here remembering Sabrina Rosario and her 3 sons that were murdered inside their home over the weekend. Police say Rosario's estranged husband, Jose Valdivia, shot them before turning the gun on himself. Rosario and Valdivia had a troubled relationship after their divorce. Court documents describe abusive and harassing phone calls and text messages that Valdivia sent his ex-wife. It got to the point where Rosario filed a restraining order against Valdivia a day before she and her children were killed. Now, she has 1 son that survived. 9-year-old Ezekiel has been in the hospital fighting for his life. His uncle says doctors have taken him off the medically induced coma. Tomorrow they will run some tests and hope for the best results, but they are prepared to face the worst outcome.
At this point, they need to find out whether his mind has the ability to continue or not. It's God's will if he doesn't stay, and we understand that. It's his book. We're just writing a page at a time and doing what he says. Whether we understand it, it is what's going to happen. He's either going to be with us or he's going to be with his other family. Either way.
Now you can see here again, this vigil has just started. We will stay out here tonight, speak with more family and friends, and bring you what they have to say on later editions of 10 News. We're reporting live tonight. Anthony Pura, 10 News.
Quite a gathering. They were loved. All right, Anthony, thank you. A former San Diego sheriff's captain and a prominent Old Town jeweler went before a judge today on charges stemming from a massive investigation into gun running. Our 10 News anchor Derek Stahl joins us live from the federal courthouse downtown. And Derek, that former captain is accused of using the ring for profit and political gain.
Yeah, Steve, prosecutors say former Captain Marco Garmo used these illegal firearm sales in part to curry favors among those who might support him in a run for the top job of sheriff. Today, a judge set his bond at $100,000. Investigators say Garmo also took some actions that could have put law enforcement lives at risk. In a hearing that lasted just a few minutes, former Sheriff's Captain Marco Garmo pleaded not guilty to 19 federal charges. Prosecutors said the former captain of the Rancho San Diego Sheriff's Station used his position to buy and resell guns that were intended only for law enforcement, not the general public, so-called off-roster guns. Over a 6-year period, investigators say he sold more than 100 firearms for cash or to collect favors from those who might support him in a future run for San Diego sheriff.
Ladies and gentlemen, today's charges demonstrate that we will not tolerate the abuse of public trust and those who abuse their positions of public trust for their own personal gain.
Back in February, 10 News was there as agents raided Leo Hamill's fine jewelers in Old Town. We've now learned Hamill was charged with working with Garmo to resell guns and falsify records. Both he and Sheriff's Lieutenant Fred Magana pleaded guilty to those charges today.
This is not some paper violations. This is not, oh, I didn't know what I was doing. I can tell you, as a 30-year ATF agent, this is a classic firearms trafficking case.
Another man, Will Anton, is charged with helping Garmo's clients bypass the waiting list for concealed carry permits and giving Garmo kickbacks in return. He pleaded not guilty. And a fifth defendant, a firearms dealer, is still at large. Garmo is also accused of using his position in law enforcement to tip off his cousin about an upcoming raid on the cousin's unlicensed marijuana dispensary. The dispensary was able to pack up and move before agents moved in. Prosecutors say that tip to a criminal suspect could have put law enforcement lives at risk. Reporting live, I'm Derek Stahl, 10 News.
Thank you, Derek. Members of Congress are demanding change in treatment of African refugees at the border. Several of them toured the area today, calling the conditions, quote, dehumanizing. In October, Immigration and Customs Enforcement announced an asylum seeker from Cameroon died in their custody at the Otay Mesa Detention Center.
And the black population has been treated very, very poorly in Mexico and in the United States. And they have been invisible.
After their tour, the representatives held a hearing to listen to witness testimony on conditions for refugees seeking asylum. They'll discuss what they saw on today's tour with the United Nations next week.
A coalition of San Diegans are now working to overhaul California's 40-year-old Prop 13. They kicked off a petition effort today at San Diego City College. Now they are collecting signatures to put the measure on the November 2020 ballot. They say the measure would close a loophole in Prop 13, which would reassess the amount of property tax paid by corporations and businesses. They say that would bring in about $12 billion to help public schools and communities all around the state.
These legacy businesses like Walmart, like Home Depot, they get a huge tax break. We're talking sometimes 5 times less in property taxes for the business right next door. We need to end that. We need to level the playing field. And this money goes to build thriving communities, and their business will benefit when people can spend more money.
Groups around the state, they do need to collect 1 million signatures by March in order to get the measure on next November's ballot. Opponents of the overhaul say consumers and renters will end up paying more.
This is the aftermath after smash and grab thieves targeted a sushi restaurant in North Park. As 10 News reporter Michael Chen explains, frustrated neighbors say it appears to be part of a growing trend.
Along 30th Street, long before happy hour, a surprise in the early morning hours.
It sucked. It was sad.
For Alex Mika, general manager of Aburi Sushi.
A neighbor calls me and says, hey, you got a front window that's broken.
Mika rushed over and found the front door shattered.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous.
A look at surveillance video from nearby businesses reveals the culprits. Just past 5:15 in the morning, a black sedan pulls up and parks in front of the restaurant. 2 people emerge. The lookout appears to be a woman who is covering up her face. Minutes later, the other person makes a move. You can see a figure approach the door, then disappear inside.
And there's someone that smashes the front door with either a rock or a hammer. I couldn't really tell.
Once inside, the thief went straight for the cash register.
They grabbed it, they ran out, and they went straight to the door.
Video shows the same car driving off.
The final take was hardly a big one. Inside that cash register, $4.
While that loss was less than the cost of replacing the glass, the impact of the crime,
Nuisance. They're just a nuisance to the neighborhood.
felt across a neighborhood.
We feel bad about what's happened.
Charlie Kashat, who has owned this corner store for 3 decades, says this is the 6th or 7th overnight smash and grab break-in within the past year in the area. It is unclear how many are linked together.
A couple other places down on Adams, and I think they're just making their way this way or vice versa.
The community is very nice community. This community doesn't deserve.
Michael Chen, 10 News.
Anyone with information on this case is asked to call San Diego police.